Alright everybody, how it doing today? So I told you plain and simple that as soon as that INF went away, a new arms race, Cold War style arms race would begin. And it has. And how? Except not quite what I was expecting. So according to this article, again from Reuters, which all the remaining articles from the day will be from, Kremlin says it is winning arms race against U.S. despite rocket accident. Moscow, Reuters. The Kremlin boasted on Tuesday it was winning the race to develop new cutting-edge nuclear weapons despite a mysterious rocket accident last week in northern Russia that caused a temporary spike in radiation levels. Oh joy, as if Chernobyl wasn't bad enough, right? Although what was really cool is they recently created like this little shed, right? Like an arched shed. And they put it on the railroad tracks of an old rail system and then just slid it over Chernobyl to contain it. And they're going to begin cleaning up the area of radiation, a process which will take about 80 years. So imagine how it might be bad and what... well, imagine how bad it would be when this rocket exploded and there's a spike in radiation levels. It'll obviously be nowhere near the level of Chernobyl, but it'll still probably cause a few accidents, make some people sick, maybe even kill them, depending on how bad it is. It'll have some consequences for sure. Rosatom, Russia's state nuclear agency, has said that the August 8th accident occurred during a rocket test on a sea platform in the White Sea, killing at least 5 and injuring 3 more. It has pledged to keep developing new weapons regardless of portraying the men who died in the test as heroes. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Twitter on Monday the United States was learning much from the explosion, which he suggested happened during the testing of a nuclear-powered cruise missile vaunted by the President Vladimir Putin last year. Russia, which has said the missile will have an unlimited range and be able to overcome any defenses, calls the missile 9M730 Burevestnik, or Storm Petrel. The NATO alliance has designated it the SSC-X9 Skyfall. After the Bond movie? Huh. A senior Trump administration official speaking on condition of anonymity on Tuesday said Washington was not prepared to say at this point whether it was a nuclear explosion, but believed it did involve radioactive elements. Yeah, and the Russians just admitted it killed people. You have a failed rocket test which ends up killing people with radiation and an explosion, and then you claim that things are still going very, very well. Don't you just love Putin's optimism of the situation? But yeah, the new arms race is underway, folks. I told you it was going to happen. But the official said the explosion could represent a potentially significant setback to the Russian program, although it remained unclear whether it was caused by a launching failure. Trump had said on Twitter that the United States had similar, though more advanced technology, and said Russians were worried about the air quality around the facility and far beyond, a situation he described as not good. But when asked about his comments on Tuesday, the Kremlin said it, not the United States, was out in front when it came to developing new nuclear weapons. Our president has repeatedly said that the Russian engineering in this sector significantly outstrips the level that other countries have managed to reach for the moment, and it is fairly unique, Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said. Putin used his State of the Nation speech in 2018 to unveil what he described as a raft of invincible nuclear weapons, including a nuclear-powered cruise missile, an underwater nuclear-powered drone, and a laser weapon. So we finally got around to developing laser weapons, huh? Yeah, I hope this is going to get just as ridiculous as the previous Cold War, this new Cold War on the works, because this sort of banter is always highly entertaining, and pretty much always leads to absolutely nothing ever happening. We really don't have much to worry about. This is just going to be saber-rattling, pure saber-rattling, but it's going to be fun to watch. Now he's saying that his nuclear weapons are invincible. Keep in mind that in the previous Cold War, the Russian military was really a cut above the rest in general, and I suspect a similar situation will be the case. They'll have higher technology, better training, although our army and our military will not be one to scoff at by any means. Tensions between Moscow and Washington over arms control have been exacerbated by the demise this month of a landmark nuclear treaty. Russia says it is also concerned that another landmark arms control treaty will soon expire. In a sign of how serious the situation in the accident area remains, Russian news agencies cited authorities as advising residents of the nearby village of Neonoxa to briefly leave while clear-up work was being carried out. That recommendation was later rescinded, the same news agency reported. Russia's State Weather Service also said on Tuesday that radiation levels in the nearby city of Severodvinsk had spiked by up to 16 times last Thursday, while medics who treated victims of the accident have been sent to Moscow for a medical examination, the TASS news agency reported. It said that the medics had signed non-disclosure agreements about the nature of the accident. Non-disclosure agreements. Still, I think ultimately what we're really looking at here is, in fact, yet another Cold War, as I have said. And maybe it'll end soon, maybe it'll go on for many decades, who knows? But this is going to be a hell of a time to live in. It's going to be a hell of a time to talk about. Oh boy, I hope the next Creed movie from Sylvester Stallone ends up having Cold War implications. That'll be fun. There might have even been some potential for that in the newest one, Creed 2. That's a great one. I need to watch that. But nonetheless, I think the reason largely why the United States moved out of the INF Treaty is plainly obvious. So they could establish a strong military presence within that region. So they could threaten Iran or China or whoever the hell else. And Russia is just going to end up getting caught in the crossfire. And of course, they're not going to take that while lying down. They're not going to be happy about it. And I mean, just look at Vladimir Putin. You think that guy's happy about anything? He sure as hell doesn't look like it. And at the very least, he makes for a really funny series of memes. So yeah, there you go. Later. Peace!